So, this is my simple machine, and this is my dog. My simple machine is a wedge. It is a doorstop, and it is designed to utilize this piece right here as a functional wedge. So here we can see the door pressing against the back of the wedge, and the wedge is able to stop the door. This is caused by the hinges over there preventing the door from lifting up, in addition to the door's own weight. So when the door is forced this direction, we have a lateral motion that is translated into a vertical motion by our ramp here, and the rotational motion on our axles right over there is going to cause increased friction between the sides of the axle right there. So we have this component there and that component there, and there's going to be an increased amount of friction between them that is caused by our wedge over here. In a different situation, we have a different door over here. So this door is going to press on it slightly differently. You can see that, in fact, the tree moves a little bit more, which means that there is a little bit more room for the wedge itself to lift up, meaning that this actually has a little bit more room to act like a fulcrum. And so in the worst case scenario, if there was a lot of space between the door and the wedge would actually end up getting pushed up like this, and would therefore be acting like a fulcrum instead of acting like a wedge. A couple additional forces that I forgot to mention would be the frictional force between this portion and the ground. Here we can see a bit of hot glue that is acting as a friction pad that allows the wedge here to be more actively stopped at the front of the wedge than at the back of the wedge. In terms of its construction, it is utilizing household materials, and some of the various steps that I went through are the following. I created this printout using Adobe Illustrator. It is a page that can be printed out for students to use in the creation of their wedge. The different materials that were utilized were a glue stick, some cardboard, a cutting board and an X-Acto blade, as well as some hot glue. And ultimately, I also used some pipe cleaners and craft straws instead of popsicle sticks. Here we can see the pasted down paper and then the cutout pieces. Ultimately, using a little bit of scoring on the back, as you can see right there, the piece was able to be folded up, and the folding looks like this. Next, I brought it back over into my study and took that craft straw and pipe cleaner and cut some holes for it and stuck it down just like that using the hot glue. To hold it all together, I added some hot glue and then a little bit more hot glue to make sure that it was all nice and really well held together. You can see what it looks like once it's all stuck together, is it's going to look like that. Next, we're going to take the backing for the decorations and hold it in place with some hot glue. And then we're going to design our decorations on the pieces that were allotted for that. So I designed a little tree that's all white, makes it nice and easy, except it's kind of hard to cut out because I did a whole bunch of curves, so that was rather difficult. I also scored the back to make it easier to fold down, and then trimmed off the edge pieces so that they weren't protruding off of the edges. So that's what it looks like as the final product, all nice and clean and ready for the winter season. Thank you very much for watching my presentation about my simple machine and its decorations.